Welcome to today's show. Tucson Luxe Living features exceptional products and services for the area's top consumers, bringing together high-end real estate, business, money, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer, local realtor supporting the area's business professionals with their personal real estate needs. And today our guest is Dave Jones, head designer at Valley Oasis Landscaping. So first I want to welcome you to the show, Dave. And I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about your company, because it's my understanding that you are the best at helping your clients create their perfect outdoor living space.
We certainly try. So I'm with Valley Oasis Landscaping. Valley Oasis has been a standalone company for about 10 years. Previous to that, we were connected to Valley Oasis Pools and Spas. We do high-end renovations and new installs for landscaping in the area, all the way from Rio Rico to the south, up as far as Oracle and up into SaddleBrooke Ranch. So we cover a pretty big area.
That is a big area.
We do, primarily hardscaping and full landscaping, which covers absolutely everything: outdoor kitchens, sun structures, ramadas, pergolas, patios, all different material types, artificial turf, systems, irrigation, lighting, gravel, plantings, everything. So it's really a one-stop shop when it comes to we do so using a 3D modeling system. So what we'll do is come out, meet with the clients, find out how they're looking to use the space, do some measurements, take a bunch of photos, and we'll actually work up a full 3D model of the property as it is, and then design forward in that 3D environment, which allows us to calculate every bit of the material that would be needed with a very high degree of accuracy.
Okay.
And we don't charge for that part of the service. We do that in an effort to try to come up with a scope of work that we're going to do for you, whether that's the full project or breaking that project into phases so that we can be more cost effective, try to build things up so that 5 or 6 years down the road, you have the finished project you're looking for.
Wow. So it sounds like from your many years of doing this type of work, you've become very efficient in your systems and your processes, and that makes you better able to support your clients. So I'd love to get into what you're seeing in terms of some of the more recent design trends. So what are you noticing? I know things have been a little bit weird with COVID. People are spending maybe even more time at home, and that backyard living space is probably even more important than it was before. And in Arizona, outdoor living space is just a high priority to begin with. So what are you seeing lately?
We've definitely gotten busier. There is a lot of people that have been in their homes, working from home, looking out the windows and thinking we need to do something with the yard. And it's made us and a lot of our other competitors in the area extremely busy. We're booked out 5-6 months. There's a few companies that I know are booked through the whole rest of the year. So don't delay if you're wanting to get somebody out. As far as design goes, it's really about usability. Previously, as far as outdoor living goes, people would want just a simple fireplace and a little bit of patio space. And now they're really into making their outdoor space an extension of their home. So we're doing a lot of outdoor cooking areas, a lot of sit down kind of communal areas, circular fire pits, recessed areas, shade, of course. So they're basically adding another room to their home, one that doesn't have walls. And the design used to be very Southwesty here, meaning Santa Fe flavors and bright, bold colors. And that's been shifting now to very modern, crisp, clean lines, a lot of subdued tones. That's been the trend in design. However, each one is its own little piece of art, and it's inspired by their owner, by the person that's going to be living there. So there's a lot of personal flair that goes into it.
I can see the value in that. We want a space that feels good when we're in it. And that's a very individual thing. I know from a real estate perspective, the the backyard space can be a significant value add, but when you get a little too unique, we'll say, putting it nicely, that can actually hurt instead of help the resale value of a home.
Yep, it can. And then one of the other things too that is good for resale. So there's a lot of people that are first-time buyers that are buying their home, completing the backyard, knowing that they're going to be selling it, is instead of doing built-in structures like built-in fire pits, doing something that's more modular, designing for space so that you can put out like a propane fire pit or something like that that's removable. They can take it with them. And it saves a future buyer from having to demolish something to reuse this. It just keeps your options open in design. So then that's what we try to hit those marks.
That's awesome. I know when we were house shopping after we'd moved to the area, there were a couple of properties that we saw that had the fountains built into the landscaping in the backyard. And that certain types of water features can be very, very classy and are certainly very desirable, probably to a large number of buyers. But your kind of typical, old school fountain that's just like right smack dab in the middle of the backyard space, not so much my thing. And that was a detractor for us. And that's kind of what you're talking about. It's like when you have to bring in somebody to remove brick and, things that are concreted in, that starts to be a little bit more than a lot of people want to take on.
Yep. And it's costly. Oftentimes, the removal and disposal of a patio can be as expensive as installing the patio in the first place. It's
crazy. That's crazy to think about. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about those types of things. So when you come in to somebody's home, what does that look like? What is the process typically like?
A usual meeting, first time meeting, is going to take about an hour on average. And that is meeting the client, kind of getting a feel for what they're looking for, what features, feature points we're trying to hit. There's usually discussion, a question will be asked like, could we do this? Could you even do it here? Can we do a shade structure here? Well, if we have enough space, absolutely yes. So we'll kind of walk through that. I'll take a bunch of notes. We do on-site measuring of every property. A lot of people will hand over a plot map or a design from their home. They're usually incorrect because the house has been moved according, when they were building the house. So we do measures of everything. We take pictures of the entire property. Not just the property, but the home as well. So we want to know where the doors and the windows are, or we want to know what colors things are. Then I take all of that information back to building up a 3D model. It's an AutoCAD based system that is high-end 3D. So we can actually match the colors and the textures of the home, the tinting of the windows. It's when the designs are done properly, they're actually compass oriented. So we can actually look at the shade that will be generated by plants and trees on any given day in the future. So if you're a party for July 4th and you want to know if you're going to be in the shade, we can give you a pretty good idea if you're going to be in the shade or not. So.
That's amazing. Those are things that I would have never thought of.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And it's, having gone from doing it by hand to then flat 2D drawings on a computer, and now this 3D modeling is absolutely fantastic. The level of accuracy is just incredible.
That's pretty awesome. And I'd imagine then that what a client can see to help them visualize what that end product is going to look like is much more accurate as well.
It's accurate enough that I can take a photo from the design and a photo of the finished project when it's done and actually line them up and it looks photorealistic.
Wow.
They're extremely accurate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about some of the questions that come up, just before we started recording in terms of materials and those types of things. Can you talk a little bit about what that part of the process looks like, so that some people might say that's the fun part, where you get to pick your finishes, so to speak. But how does that work? Do you present your clients with a selection to choose from, or are they able to say, hey, I want this type of material, and then you're able to accommodate that?
There's a really broad spectrum of materials to use in general for landscaping. The price point is usually the number one consideration. Typically what we'll do is design for space, which allows me to come up with a square footage number. Once we have the proper space that you're looking for, we can plug in pricing for any type of paver. So like a concrete paver would be a base model material. There's two manufacturers of that material right here in Tucson. So your price point, that's going to be your opening tier for material. Once you start getting up into national materials, like Belgard Pavers is a national company. Their colors are a little bit more vibrant than what the locals will have, but they're also more expensive because they're shipped into town and then dispersed out on a retail level. There's a company out of Casa Grande that's called Artistic Pavers, which is another concrete manufactured paver in a totally different style. It looks a little bit closer to travertine. Then of course there's travertine and flagstone, and the materials really go on. And as you go up that tier, it gets more and more expensive. Flagstone currently probably being about the most expensive thing that you can have, because it's all bedded in concrete. So you have concrete costs plus stone costs plus labor cost, very expensive. But once you figure out the space that you're looking for, the design, then we can kind of talk you through those different price points. And of course, we have a showroom that's down at Prince and I-10, big Valley Oasis sign, you can't miss it. And we have samples of all this material there as well.
Okay, great. So then I would assume, based on what you've shared so far, that a lot of those material selections are somewhat determined by somebody's budget for the project.
Budget and flavor. A lot of times we'll meet a client right out of the gate that says they want their whole backyard done in a travertine design, because they like it and it looks beautiful, until the price point comes across, and then they're like, whoa, maybe what would it look like if we did it in concrete paver? And because of the 3D modeling software, we can do that. So I can shift the materials right in the design and show you exactly what it would look like. So, and they appreciate that, oh, that saved, we did this in a concrete paver and saved $5,000 on the project. And that's $5,000 that can go into lighting or plant choices, or, and it's more bang for the buck if you make your choices right. So.
Makes sense. So then let's talk about the next kind of logical question, timing. So you mentioned that you guys are slammed, not at all surprised. We're seeing so much new construction in the area. We're seeing so many people moving to the area. It seems logical to me that you would have plenty of work. So what is a typical timeline in terms of, if I called you today and I said, Dave, come over, I need your help, and we looked at the scope of the project, what does that look like in terms of timeline when you kind of break ground, so to speak? And I'm sure that each project is slightly different. Obviously, a bigger project is going to take longer, but can you give us kind of a general idea of timeline?
Typically, let's say you called today, and wanted me to come out, I can come out usually within a week. Within 5 days, I can get an appointment time scheduled to come out and at least meet with you and look at the property. To do a full design, it depends on how big and how complicated. A tract home in a flat area is going to be way easier to draw than a home sitting on top of a mountain. So that there's a lot of effort that can go into some of these extreme models. Returning a design back to you, usually 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to get a design back from me. What that looks like basically is an email. I'll send you an email that says, look what I did, and there'll be a link in there. That link is for your presentation. Poke it, it takes you right to the YouTube page, and the presentation will begin playing for you. At that point, I haven't priced it. I'm waiting for your input. If it looks close to what your targets are for the job, I'll get that pricing together and we'll set up another meeting. That way I can walk you through that and explain what all these costs are. And everything is completely itemized. So I break that down so that you can see where all of your costs are actually put into the project. If you fall in love with it and you want to go to contract on it, from the point of contract signing, we're booking at about 5 months right now. So we have 5 months of work on the board, and you wouldn't expect to even see us there for about 5 months. Time to complete really depends on how large the project is. The average backyard and average backyard landscape project is going to take about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, including masonry, electric, plumbing, any permits that would be needed. If there's electric or gas, it all has to be permitted. So, you're not getting it done for summer if you're calling right now. You may get it for Christmas next year.
Gotcha.
Very, very busy.
So talk to me a little bit about some of these fantastic houses that are built on a lot of rock. So, you mentioned about being on top of a mountain. We know that there are some beautiful homes that are in some pretty crazy places in the area. We know that we have a lot of different areas where there is very rocky terrain. What are you experiencing in those types of situations?
Well, we know the area. So I've done projects all in basically every neighborhood in Tucson we've done. So if we know it's going to be rocky, we're accounting for that in our costing and our planning. We have the equipment to be able to do it. I mean, if it is a pool, you can build a pool just about anywhere. You just have to have the right equipment and throw enough money at it. We have a pretty good idea of what we're going to be encountering when we start the design process. So, and our costing covers that. If you're talking about building a pool, some of the pool contracts will have a hard dig clause, which means it's going to cost you this much unless we determine it's a hard dig. If we're out there and can't meet our time, at which point they're going to pass charges on daily. If it's an additional day, it's going to cost this much, and they'll just charge by the day until they can hit it. Usually they'll have a good idea of that beforehand, and they'll let the client know you stand a chance here of having a pretty hard dig. We just did one that's down in Rio Rico where there's a pool and landscaping going in. We expected to save all of the dirt to use in landscaping. Typical pool is going to generate about 50 tons. We ended up hauling it all away because it was all rock. And we didn't expect that. It turns out that lot was built where the river used to run, and there's no river there anymore. So it kind of surprised us. And that cost, unfortunately, was passed on to the client. And now we have to generate all this extra dirt. So now we have to, instead of using the dirt that was there, we have to actually ship it in. And it was unforeseen, but every now and then one will get by, and you don't, but for the most part, we know what we're getting into.
Are there certain types of lots where there are certain things you just can't do? Like, for instance, we were looking at land in both Stone Canyon and in Dove Mountain, and certain areas over there, it's all just big rock. You know, we're not even talking just like below the surface rock. It's like you're literally on boulders. And it seems to me that that would make things quite a bit more difficult, depending on the type of project that you wanted to do.
You can do anything you want to if you throw enough at it. If you really want to have lush green San Diego type vegetation in those areas, you just have to replace the soil, and it's absolutely something that we can do. And that's where our guidance kind of comes in. If we'll try to guide your hand in what you're looking for based on the area you're in and what's reasonable. But if you want it to be a lush tropical paradise in your backyard in those areas, we can absolutely do it. You're just replacing the dirt and the soil.
Got it. So it's one of those things where if you've got enough money, you can do most things.
Money, yeah. When it comes to landscaping, money solves your problems. Absolutely.
Got it.
And those are some beautiful areas too. Stone Canyon and Dove Mountain. There's some great projects up there. Especially you get far back into Dove Mountain. It's just beautiful back there. It's like a whole different area.
Yeah,
Tucson.
it is. It is pretty amazing how within the greater Tucson area, you can go 20 minutes away, car ride, of course, 20 minutes away, and you can almost feel like you're in a different part of the state because the vegetation is so different. The landscape is so different. It really is an incredible area.
Yep. I love it. I'm lucky to be landscaping here.
Do you say that in the heat of the summer?
I actually enjoy it. So in this area, we get some extreme cold and we get some extreme heat. You can't complain about them both. So I try to complain only about the cold. I'll take the heat. That's why I'm here.
Well, we are friends from a long time back, and we both came from central Wisconsin. So we're familiar with cold and shoveling, and I would not trade the heat in for that in a million years. So
I'll take it. So all the years that I was actually, when I was a young landscaper out there actually doing the shoveling and the digging and the planting, it was a little bit rough in the heat, but you get used to it. And now it actually, my body just feels better in the heat. The cold, no more. I won't be going to Wisconsin again in the winter anytime soon.
Well, the number of people that I've met, and I've met a lot in my time here, there are almost, I think, more transplants from other climates, we'll say, to the area than natives. So
yeah, natives are rare. You don't find too many of them.
Yes. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us before we start to wrap things up today?
Go about if you're really seriously looking into a landscaping project, don't dawdle. But get somebody out that is reputable. If it's not myself, make sure you're checking on people who are doing professional landscaping in town. There's a lot of people down the street that will say that they're going to help you with a landscape project. Make sure that you're using somebody reputable. You can get good warranties out there. Registrar contractors, absolutely. And make sure that you're doing your plan properly, that you're trying to do things in the right order. That's the best advice I can give you. Don't pave your backyard and then next year think that you're going to need some electric back there, or you need outlets back there, or you need to run a gas line, because now you have to tear the patio back out again in order to do that. And it's wasting money in the long run. So it's all about really proper planning. And that's where experience comes in. Talk to somebody that's knowledgeable and can walk you through the project. And you'll get more bang for your buck that way. You're not throwing money away.
Makes a lot of sense. Where can our listeners learn more about your company and your products and your services and get in contact with you?
Primarily, we have a website, Valley Oasis Landscaping. you can find us on Facebook, Valley Oasis Landscaping. There you'll find on YouTube, you'll find our presentation links, Valley Oasis Landscaping. We're on Instagram, Valley Oasis Landscaping. We're not hard to find. I believe if you go directly to the website, there's a contact us link and you can fill out a little questionnaire. And those come directly to myself or the owner, Jason Myers. And we'll come out. We are the 2 designers with the company. So it's myself or Jason. Then we'll set something up, come out and spend some time, talk about your landscape project.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much, Dave. This has been very educational, and you're a great guy. So I say, you're the go-to guy.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And just make sure everybody subscribe. We've got awesome guests here like Dave, and have a fantastic day.